Welcome to another episode of the Time Management Revolution podcast. I'm Helene Segura. I'm a time management fixer, and today we have with us as our guest Kris Dehnert. He is owner and CEO of Dugout Mugs, the company behind baseball bat themed collectible drinkware.
There it is.
Yes. Under his leadership, Dugout Mugs has appeared 3 times on the coveted Inc. 5,000 list and been featured on national media, including the Today Show, World News Tonight, Fox and Friends, The View, Good Morning America. I mean, the list just keeps on going. CBS, Forbes, and Entrepreneur. Boasting over $55 million in sales, Dugout Mugs proves that creativity and hustle can knock it out of the park. That's a good one. Now, Kris, I wanted to start this conversation off by addressing what some listeners might be wondering, and that is how the heck is making drinkware connected to time management?
It's not. Making drinkware is what I do. Time management is who I am, right? And I think, and I have a few different companies, and the thing is like, I prioritize time more than anything, more than money, more than anything. It is time. It's the most finite asset there is. And to not have that as your North Star, I think is foolish in business and life and relationships and everything else. So the two aren't correlated, but I think one works because of the other. And guiding my team to focus on their core competencies. What is your strength? What is your superpower? And don't spend any time on anything but what you do absolutely best. And the growth and the success of the company is going to be directly related to how much time you spend in that power zone. I think is really more how those two things connect.
And how do you help your team members figure out what are their strengths to make sure that they are used in the right places? By the way, I don't know if you can hear sirens, but this is not my office. I'm in Los Angeles. There is something going on right now. So we'll just ignore the sirens, and I'm glad you can't hear them, just me. Anyway, how do you help your team members find their strengths?
Ask better questions. And I don't think people do that enough in all areas of life, but ask better questions, understand them. What do you like? What do you not like? What do you enjoy? What are you best at? What are you worst at? Because I think people's weaknesses are far more important than their strengths, honestly, because then you just keep them away from those things. The old adage, don't ask a fish to climb a tree or live his whole life, thinking he failed, or along those lines. I don't know it verbatim right now, but that, and I think understand who's the fish, who's the monkey to climb the tree, who's the fish to swim and I've always believed that you hire a person and you teach them a job. And so I've worked with a lot of military ex-athletes, and I feel like there's facets of them that fit perfectly in certain areas. The guy that runs my warehouse, he used to work and run commercial kitchens. Like, those two things don't connect until they do. And he understands how people and systems, and he's very black and white, and that works. The guy that handles our logistics, he's meticulous, OCD, and just a perfectionist. So our mistake rate is like well sub 1%. So again, it's you ask more questions. Somebody who's a creator and a creative, you're not asking him to run the numbers. You're asking for problems. And I get that a lot of times in business, when you first start, you have to wear a lot of the different hats at the same time. And that's okay, as long as it's finite. You know how long you're going to be in that space, and then how quick you're going to get out, and who you're going to bring in to help you. I think is really the answer, is just asking better questions, reflecting more on who we are and what we're good at. I actually did an exercise. I think you'll appreciate this. There was an exercise the other day. I was at a mastermind meeting, and a gentleman was there, and he said, all right, everybody, take out a pen and paper, write your name in cursive. You have 10 seconds. And I was, oh crap, I kind of remember cursive. And we wrote our name, and it looked pretty good, right? And he said, all right, now I'm going to give you twice as much time to write the same thing, but do it with your left hand. And it was horrible. We're focusing more. It took twice as long. It looked like crap. But the point was, when you're asked to do something that puts you under pressure that you're not used to or not good at, you can spend twice as much time and focus and it still be done wrong or worse than it would be. So it was kind of an exercise in what we do as business owners, entrepreneurs, managers, and leaders, asking people, you're really good at sales, but I need you to be over here right now, and just try to pull everybody's hat off all the time and make them kind of, I don't want to call it cross train, but you know what I mean. And it just really creates more problems than it does solutions.
You run multiple companies, and you also have 2 kids at home under the age of 10. So how do you manage all of this?
Priorities. I got my priorities in line. That happened about 10 years ago. I got pretty sick and had a close enough to death experience to really shake me up. And I made a commitment that day and that week and that month of recovery where I won't miss the time with them. So now everything is built around that. Again, it's just a hierarchy of importance for your priorities. So the businesses I run, I only do what I do best in those businesses. And it's always going to be somewhere in the field of sales, marketing, management, branding, networking. Like these are things I'm really good at. So I only do those. When it comes to anything else in the business, it gets kicked to somebody else. And because of that, it allows my plate to stay more clean. So when opportunities do arise, hey, I got this thing, just can you be in New York tomorrow? I got a massive opportunity. I'm not all bogged down. I'm like, yeah, sure, I can handle that. Right. So I think time management is your ability to stay lean so that you can take opportunities when they come across your plate rather than be in the weeds.
So when going back to helping your team figure out what they're really good at, did you take a look at yourself first and realize, you know what, this is not my superpower? I am spending way too much time here. And that's how you decided to hire out different people? Or what was that process like?
Well, that would go back several ventures ago. Dugout's my 9th company. And, so I've had a lot of other things prior to this. So I kind of already knew what my strengths and weaknesses were. But again, like we're not 100%, right? So I'm a big fan of fail fast, fall forward. And like if anybody, hey, we're going to try some stuff. It's going to suck. It's going to break. We're going to do it wrong. How fast can we rip ourselves back up off the ground and keep storming forward? I think that was really some of it. And the other thing, I've said it several times in the past, it's I give direction, not directions. Like I see myself as a visionary, and I'm very, I can explain my communication skills, which is why I'm good at sales and marketing and branding and things. My communication skills are better than average. So when I sit down with people, they buy into the vision that I have. And as long as they see the vision that I have, they're much more able to get to that vision with or without my involvement. So if I can give the direction, I don't have to micromanage and give the directions. Again, it's freeing up my time. Now I realize some things might not be done as well as if I was involved, but that's a trade-off I'm willing to make to free up that time of what I would have to spend micromanaging this person or this thing. And sometimes they'll do it better than I could have done it. And I just needed to get out of the way. But again, just have checks and balances in place and understand what the metric is. Like, what are you really trying to figure out here? Is it sales? Is it customer acquisition? Is it lowering the overhead? Is it efficiency? Is it retention? Like, what is your metric? And then take it all the way back to science experiments in school. All right, constants and variables. There's only one variable. We can only change one thing at a time because everyone won't know it's working. And that's really what it's about, is just a lot of trial and error, and a lot of just transparency and vulnerability. When you're not doing something right, you need to acknowledge it.
And what is your style or method if you realize you need to coach somebody up? So you give the person direction and it's not quite completed at the quality you expect. And I know you just said that it's okay if it's not done as well as you would have, but let's just say it's not even done up to that level. So how do you coach somebody up? Do you come in and then start giving them directions? Is it a process of question and answering? How do you help your
That's a good
teams?
question. I think I've I've become more accustomed to asking better questions, right? So a lot of times, if somebody says something and comes up with the answer on their own, they're more apt to follow through with that. So I think if you ask better questions, they will then come up with the answers that it's almost like guiding. It's a sales tactic. Take that back 25 years when I was doing sales. It's a sales tactic. You walk them through the path and you're putting the bumpers up as you go, and they get to where you want them to go and acknowledge the thing that you want them to acknowledge. And sometimes it doesn't happen, and that's just the wrong person. And that happens too. But I think it's breaking it down to the simplest, the common denominator. Like, how simple can we make this? What is the one thing that made the rest of this stuff break? So let's start there, right? And then just ask questions around it. And it also depends on the person. Men, women, young, old, experience, background, newbie, like there's all different factors that play into that. And I think understanding people and reading body language and things like that. So, a psychology class or body language class or these types of trainings are not long and extensive, but could be very valuable when, because I believe one of the most important components of business is your interpersonal abilities to connect with people, communicate with people on almost every level.
Now, it sounds like you're very good at prioritization. You obviously have your priorities straight. Could you share some of the ways that you do prioritize tasks so that way you don't get caught up in the weeds?
Well, I mean, first thing in the morning, I go through with emails, right? Let's just start with emails. So I'll go through and it's like, what do I not even need to answer? And I'll wipe out like 70%, just throw them right in the trash. I'm not even going to answer it. I'm not even going to read it. And then I look at things like if it's anything accounts payable, accounts receivable, anything related to money, I just kick it to my COO. I'm like, hey man, I'm not handling this. He's like on it. Right. So I think it's reflecting more as an entrepreneur, what is in my lane and not getting outside of my lane. If it has to do with sales, marketing, promotion, things like that, I'll address it. If it's a bigger opportunity that shows up today, it trumps everything that was on the waiting list that was a week ago. It's a hierarchy of importance. Like, what is important? And you do what's important, not chronologically what came first. That's a bad habit to get into. And sometimes you can go back and say, hey, I've been too busy to answer this. I'm back. It's been 3 weeks. Sorry. What do you need? And not have any guilt about that. Right. I think I prioritize what is important to me. And that's my friends, my fun, my family, my experiences, my people in my business, because the people make my business work. I don't make the business work. Right. So I'll spend, a perfect example, just today, we had a big order come in and the guy's like, hey, his fiance's pregnant. And he's like, hey man, I had to leave early. Do I need to go back and handle this order? I was like, dude, no, deal with it on Monday. And if things go sideways on Monday, call me, let me know. We'll deal with it on Tuesday. Right. Like it's just taking care of like, that's more important. So when I say prioritize, it should come natural to us to prioritize. We know what is more important than the other thing. What's more important, your children or dollars? Well, your children, right? I hope that's your answer. And it's like, so when you really value things correctly, I think that it just kind of sets itself. And then realize that you should only be in your lane, and you're doing a disservice to you, those around you, and your company if you're outside of that lane.
Now, your company inside and out. So a lot of the prioritization when it comes to what you need to do for the day or how you're going to triage those emails, everything is already internal. It's in you. It's a part of you. What about for your team? How do you help them understand what's a priority or what isn't? Or are you somehow magically hiring people who already get you?
Well, the folks around me, we've been working together for 5 or 6 years, so they're a little bit more dialed in. Now, what I will say is from a systems and processes standpoint, We are not the best, right? We really
Mm-hmm.
aren't. But what we have is we've created a team dynamic that is so open and transparent. Now, it's also due to our size. We're not very big from a
Mm-hmm.
team standpoint, under a dozen people at any given time. It's easy for communication. And I
Got it.
and I encourage people to lean into one another.
Mm-hmm.
And that works really, really well. It's almost like a team, like, in a dugout, it's a team, which is cool, which is a really cool dynamic. But I think to generically answer the question, it's more about systems and processes. And I think with technology and AI and some of this new stuff coming out, I think it's going to really improve that. I know there's a lot of downsides to it, but I think if used right, I mean, we just implemented AI. It was fantastic. We cut $4,500 a month in overhead, implemented AI, and now we have an infinitely scalable option in our customer service and our design. It's just great. So I think understanding some of this technology is really important for
Mm-hmm.
systems processes. And you can prompt AI to then give you generic versions of simple systems that you could then edit a little bit here and there, and give a little bit more structure to those coming on board.
Mm-hmm. Now, some people have heard that that's possible, but they're really worried about what kind of effort that will entail on the part of the company to develop this AI. So, did you go out and search for an enterprise AI and train it, or did you hire a separate company to build the AI that you need? How did you go about that?
No, it's there. We use something called Gorgeous.
Okay.
It's like a CRM kind of software, and they had an AI component. And my guy Jared, COO, and this girl Karen, they tag team this thing for 2 weeks. And it was live. It was like this.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah, and
Nice.
it just runs. I mean, it's always
Mm-hmm.
learning and getting better. But
Mm-hmm.
in Q4 and Black Friday and World Series, because I'm in the baseball world,
Right.
when we spike, this thing's going to scale infinitely alongside us. I won't have to double or triple down overhead on these certain departments. You're
Mm-hmm.
saving tens of thousands of dollars, probably
Mm-hmm.
100 grand annually, just by the things we implemented already. But we use Gorgeous, and they have an AI component. So,
Mm-hmm.
shout out to Gorgeous on that.
Nice. And that's not paid product placement.
Nope.
Now,
Nope.
going back to team building, how do you build up your team? Do you have formal huddles once a week,
Mm-hmm.
or is it more organic and you encourage people to just always visit with each other? How do you build up that team cohesiveness?
It's weird. I think it's organic more than anything because of who I am. I walk in, my daughter, my 10-year-old, she walks into the warehouse, shakes hands, fist bumps people, down to earth. I'm asking this guy about his dog, this guy about his fiance, asking this guy if he caught anything going fishing this weekend. Like, everybody's different. And I think they're, the love languages, the people are different. And I think understanding what lights people up is important, and you can't do
Mhm.
that if you're always talking. I think not enough people are listening. You do have to talk and instruct and lead and things like that, but sometimes just it's okay to just shut up, and talk to people and listen, which is an amazing idea. Listen to what they're saying and understand. So, in business in general, I always say that creating a win-win relationship doesn't require the same currency. And what all that means is that what's important to you is different than what's important to me sometimes. So if I be quiet and listen to what's important to you, and you hear what's important to me, we might be able to get creative and make a deal happen. And I've done that
Mhm.
several times, and I think we do that with the team. Most of my team doesn't like baseball, right? Like, okay, that's cool. So I don't say, hey guys, want to go to a baseball game? They're like, no, not really. Do you want to go axe throwing? They're like, oh, that'd be fun. Unless we go axe throwing. But and then we do managers meetings every Monday. We've been doing that for years. Every Monday,
Mhm.
what's going right? What's going wrong? Is anything on fire? What do we need to adjust or address? And usually there's two or three things. Hey, we got a big order from Budweiser or Capital One or T-Mobile, and it's prioritized. Make sure we get that out. Okay, cool. Just things like that. And I think just the huddle, it goes back to communication. You know, people fail because of lack of communication. People get divorced because of lack of communication. People, have animosity because of lack of communication. And I just think the more transparent the group can be, I think it goes a long way.
Okay. Oh, this is going to sound like it's getting into the weeds, but it's for people who need to know literal details about everything. When you say you have your weekly managers meeting on a Monday, how long is that meeting?
Usually 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, usually 30 minutes. In my day, I only schedule 15-minute meetings unless we have to do more. Like later this afternoon, I have like a 30-minute meeting because we have to review numbers on a deal that I might acquire, right? So we need to dig into the numbers, but usually 15-minute meetings, singular topics. And if I don't have anything just really, really important to go over, I'll text them like, hey, do you guys got anything that's like on fire that we need to table? And it's like, no, no, no. We just wave it. We're like, all right, we're on the same page. Everybody knows what we need to be doing. Like we were on Good Morning America a few days ago. And the next 2 days, or the next day was like, or 2 days later was a Monday. And I'm like, guys, is anybody got anything on fire? Because I know what we need to be doing is cranking out a ton of mugs just sold on GMA. And they're like, yeah, we're busy. We're slammed. We're not touching anything else. It's like, all right, do you. I'm not taking a half hour out of 4 people's day. You know, that's productivity. You lose more than the 4 half hours too. The 15 minutes to slow down, the 15 minutes to warm up. Like it's a real thing. So I think derailing your team unnecessarily or for extended periods of time is detrimental. So if you can't get it done in 15 minutes, maybe you got to go 20. We do 30 because I give everybody like 5 minutes to chat and then we like table things afterwards. But yeah, you're just rambling if you're not getting it done in 30 minutes or less.
Yeah, I asked that specific question because I have worked with multiple people who will have a meeting, either a team meeting or a one-to-one, but it's every morning for 45 minutes to an hour. And that's such a huge concern because my goodness, how much has changed since the day prior? And it sounds like that's not at a high level of productivity. And it also sounds like that the people who are in the meeting have not been given that direction. It sounds like they're being given directions,
It's a daily
which is
to-do list. You show
yeah.
up to give them a daily to-do list. And it's actually an inadvertent way of micromanagement. It's like, I don't trust you to make your own decisions today. So here's what you're going to do. And I don't, that's not a good environment, in my opinion. And a damn
Yeah.
short time.
Yeah. And if you look at a lot of the research that's out there, it tells you that when our brains are solely focused on tasks, that we lose sight of the bigger picture, the mission, which is what you're talking about. You understand what the mission is. And when you stay at the mission level, you're much more productive in your work because you do understand how to prioritize versus being focused at the task level. Losing sight of the mission is so much harder to prioritize. So you shared a lot of great leadership lessons. What about, and I realize that there's no such thing as a typical day, but on a non-travel day, do you have some typical routines that you might do during the day and that's what helps you stay focused and keep on track? Or is everything just fly by the seat of your pants, but internally you understand what needs to be done?
Number 2. And I took my daughters to school today. I'm picking them up here in probably an hour. I'm gonna head over there and grab them. I do a lot of floating around. I keep my plate clean because when big opportunities show up, I'm there. I step up to the plate. In the bottom of the ninth, the bases loaded, that opportunity, I'm not over here swinging bats. I'm at the plate, right? And that's where I want to be. That's where I belong. So I don't want to get caught in the weeds. And so the calendar links that everybody has out there, maybe it's an unpopular opinion. I don't want it. Nobody gets to choose which hours of my day they get. I just choose not to do that, right? Personally. Because I know that how frustrating that would be. It's like, I want to go bowling with my daughters later. I'm not, and oh, sorry, you have a 6 o'clock. I'm like, no, I'd be canceling more than I've been meeting with what would be happening. And then that's just a bad look. So for me, get my daughters to school, I do some stuff here and there with my wife. I work from home. So that's another interesting one is I don't go to an office. This is my home and I work here and I've been doing it well before it was cool. I've probably 15 years I've worked from home and it takes some discipline to do something like that. But I also do it because at any point I want to be a friend comes in out of town. Dude, I'm in town for 3 hours. You want to do lunch? Like, sure. Or you want to go golfing? Like, absolutely. Right. And I don't know, like I built this company to fit my lifestyle, not my lifestyle to fit the company. And it's been like that for all the companies I've had. And it's just because I don't know, I'm viciously protective of my time and having a routine or things. Now there's also downsides to that, right? Like if I had more routines, I'd be at the gym more frequently. I would have sales calls. Let's say I would get 100 calls a day done back like I did when I worked one of my other lives. I don't know. Yeah, I'm much more fly by the seat of my pants, but I also see so clearly where we're going and what we're doing that at any minute, my guys get emails from me at like 2 a.m, 1, 7:30 a.m. They're like, bro, do you sleep? It's like, oh yeah, I was sleeping, but I woke up thinking this, had to share it with you because it's going to be yours to run with. Right. So I'm never off. I'm always on, but it's weird. It's weird. It's a weird dynamic. And I don't suggest it because I don't know if it's something that a lot of people could do, but it works for me. And that's the advice. Find out what works for you. And if you're not productive over and over and over again, there's probably a reason, probably has to do with you. In my case, it allows me to stay in my superpower all the time, doing stuff like this, talking to people, communicating, opportunities, events, the celebrity events and the things like that.
Well, Kris Dehnert, you have been a wealth of information today. There's a lot to think about, and I have a feeling that people listening would want to reach out to you either to connect because you are so interesting or to get themselves a Dugout mug. So how can people connect with you?
Well, dugoutmugs.com is obviously where this is our baby. We're running with it. We're having a lot of fun. And as you can see right there, we turn baseball bat barrels into mugs, if anybody's wondering. And we do custom stuff and a lot of corporate logo stuff. And we have all the MLB teams and work with all these are MLB players. All these behind me are like Hall of Famers or something that somebody I've worked with. But I also have Big Golf, which is my golf brand, custom logo, golf balls and all that stuff. Again, I want to do the stuff I want to do. Beer, baseball, golf, cigars. Like I like this stuff. So I'm going to do this for a living. And, but from a social media standpoint, you know what I did? Again, when we talk about priorities and protecting time, I don't have them. I have a few that are private that are only for friends and family. And now LinkedIn, I have a public LinkedIn. So anybody listening could probably connect with me on LinkedIn. That'd probably be your best bet. I'm pretty active over there. I'm pretty responsive over there. But yeah, you can follow what we're doing. We're not slowing down. I'd say that much.
Okay, wonderful. And I'll be sure to put the link to Dugout Mugs down below in the description. Kris, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. I appreciate the time. Thank you.